Thank you, Nighthawk, and welcome to Plato's Cave on Revolution Radio, on revolution.radio. That's right. Coming to you from Australia, the land down under, the crisis actor country that doesn't exist. It's just all happening under Denver Airport. You know it's true. You know it's true. Maybe Dulce Air Base. Yeah. I'm going to hop on my Mach 4 high-speed train and head right back into the center of flat Earth is what I'm going to do after the show. You know it. It's true. It's home to ideas and ideas that are fresh, maybe, hopefully. Some are, lukewarm. Some are reheated. It's okay. It's all good. You can still eat it. Just heat it up twice, no more than twice. If you do more than twice, then, well, it's probably not so good for you. But you know what? This is listener-funded radio, right? Which means, if you like the verbal diarrhea that comes from Dave and I and the others, please donate if you can. Donate if you can. There's no one else supporting us. I don't think there's anyone else out there giving us money that I know of. So any currency is good, including crypto. It's all good. If you cannot, and that's not so unlikely these days, as I keep repeating, just tell people about the station. Just tell them. That helps. That helps. It's all good. Today is, in fact, the 17th of October, and I'm shaking my head here. 17th of October. I mean, honestly, where has the year gone? I mean, it's Halloween, and for you guys, Thanksgiving almost. Christmas.
Just been.
Push. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, we it's about 60 days to Christmas or something like that. Is that right? Something like that, right? Anyway, you can catch the cave on the air, on the line all the time, or on your smart device. So grab an app to listen anywhere, or listen at home on the Grace Table British Radio. Another good reason to do it is because the archives are free. The Freedom Slips archives are free. Please come and enjoy them. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land for which we broadcast, and for Dave.
It's the Dark and Joe.
Means the dark people, and we pay our respects to ours, past, present, and future. Wanted to see how fast I could say that. I could say it very fast. Thank you. Today, I want to talk about a couple of things, Dave. I want to talk about healthcare. Actually, no. I want to talk about all the things we took for granted when we were children. Now, Dave and I are Gen X. That means we were born in the 60s, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up, 60s, 70s, depending on when you were born. We were coming of age in the 80s, I guess. Mm-hmm. And now we're old farts, essentially. But I want to talk about some of the things that we took for granted as children. I really do want to talk about that. And then I want to talk about what happened today in the city, in Sydney. There was
on the Harbour Bridge.
Now, I was in the city today, and I would have been on that bridge if I hadn't chosen to go another way. At the time it happened, and so 2 people were killed in that horrific accident. And the whole bridge was, I mean, it brought Sydney at least
to its knees.
Well, it did. It's just not. I mean, the Harbour Bridge is one of those really important arterial roads, north and south, right? Yes, there's a tunnel, and yes, you can go around, but ultimately, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of cars go, over it every day. I mean, it's just massive. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it did. I don't know what happened. I think the truck was involved, but 2 people were killed.
So, yes, 2 people lost their lives, but a car. Let's see. We have, I think it's like 5 or 6 lanes, for everyone out there, and they'll do a southern run of more lanes in the morning, and then they kind of even it out, and in the afternoon, northbound over the bridge has more lanes, and they have a movable divider. Right? That's the best way of putting it. But I'm gonna say that there's no divider for the main part of the bridge. It's just arrows, illuminated arrows above the road deck.
It's actually called the suicide lane.
Yeah, the middle one. Anyway, so some person, still for reasons yet unknown, veered into the middle, into oncoming traffic. And they collided with somebody. And then that caused a 4-car bus and bus collision, and so there was a pregnant woman and a fellow in a car. That fellow died, and in the other car, the fellow died, and it's awful. So, and I watched it. I watched it not live. I think it was maybe about 8 minutes old when the story broke, and so I went straight to Maps so I could have a look to see how bad the traffic was. The broadcast is playing. Yeah, it was. Look, but this is one of those things. The only way to fix that from ever happening again is to have an actual divider all the way down, or just go. You know what? We're gonna fix it. So there's only so many. We'll just put a permanent divider in there. I don't know.
Yeah, that might not work, but I hear what you're saying.
No, I know, but this is. You know that the fence, when you leave a shopping centre, and the fence just directly outside it, that stops you just wandering into traffic, is there because someone just wandered into traffic.
Actually, that's a really horrific story. So, I know of 2 places, and in both instances, I knew the kids. 2 kids ran across the street near where I live in the West, and they were killed. It was at night. They were both killed.
Yeah. And
at both these places now is an overpass, or a pedestrian overpass.
Mm-hmm.
But it had to come to that.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, one kid, I really liked him, Wesley. He was a Torres Strait Islander, really young and really bright, and just happened to run across the road at the wrong time, man. It's just, what a waste. It was at night, but still. Anyway, look. But the problem also is with the bridge. We also have a pedestrian side. We've got a bicycle track, and we have the train running on it in both directions.
That's right, and dedicated bus lane.
Yeah, dedicated bus lane. So we're getting our bang for our buck here. We are getting. That's why they built a second tunnel under the harbour.
They're doing a second harbour crossing. Under for vehicles, but they also put a second rail tunnel under there for the metro.
Right. So look, it's all good, but the reason I'm mentioning is because I could have been in that accident because the time is perfectly lined up with when I would have driven across it.
Yep.
But nonetheless, it didn't happen. So I thank my guardian angel, I guess.
Totally.
But I did want to talk about Dave. The reason I want to talk about it,
I talk about me. Okay.
Yeah, I want to talk about you. Let's talk about you. No, I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about. Today, I had a long conversation with someone about healthcare and such, right? And how it really isn't healthcare. But let's cast our minds back, because we're living in a world, right? And Plato's Cave is really here to open our eyes to the world as it really is, or as it really was, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a child, and I want you to throw your stuff in here, Dave, as well. When I was a child, right? When I was a child, I played outside in the summer, even in the winter, pretty much all day long, with all the other neighborhood kids. I was in a fortunate situation because my neighborhood really lent itself well to outside play. Very little traffic and a lot of nooks and crannies and sort of places you could hide and seek and all kinds of wonderful things.
And where we lived, we had bushland that separated, some backyards from each other, which were,
nice.
You couldn't build on creeks and things. So that was a lot of fun for adventuring and as a kid,
And we didn't have devices, by devices I'm talking about iPads, iPhones, tablets, laptops,
right.
In fact, any kind of computer.
No.
I'm of the generation that used to think it was cool to have a digital watch.
That's right.
Right, and I had my first one was I think it was a Casio from memory.
And you had to press the button for it to illuminate it.
Oh hell yeah, absolutely! And that was gold. And that was my favorite thing. Anyway, we just played with whatever we had. I mean, we didn't have a lot. We weren't dirt poor, but we had some stuff, So.
Yeah.
And we played, and for the most part, there was group games, and in the summer it was just like as a childhood experience, it was wonderful. Just outside, riding your bike. I mean, my bike became my most treasured
likewise
possession. I mean, right? You go anywhere, everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. And no helmets, by the way. No helmets. No adult supervision.
In fact, what was the first thing you did the first thing I did when I got a bicycle was take all the reflectors off it. You take the bell off it, you take the reflectors off it, so you can't be seen.
I put in coasters, beer coasters, because they make nice noises. I put those in my spokes.
The cards in the spokes, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I didn't have cards. I was poor. I just used. I went to the pub and stole some coasters. And there were quite a few pubs, and you would be outside and you do what you can. And when I was I didn't realize it then. Okay, but now looking back on it, I understand now that I had certain expectations of life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? My expectation was that I had a place to live. Right? Now, again, both my parents worked, and we weren't rich, I can tell you that. But it was good enough. My grandparents were close by, so there was like free childcare, right? That was good. And so I expected somewhere to live. I expected my mom to cook my meals, or my dad, if he cooked, but that was my expectation. I had no expectations of eating out. None. Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Did we eat out? Yeah, sure. But not even for special occasions. It was just, whenever, I guess, not a lot, to be honest with you.
Well, for us, I think it was once a month that we would either go to the Black Stump restaurant, or we would get a pizza, or we would get Italian takeaway, like lasagna or something, or we'd get a Chinese takeaway. That's all we did. That was the once a month.
We didn't even have Chinese takeaway where I lived. So we a nice day with my mom would be, and then later my brother. We would go to Cologne, spend the time and go to the zoo, maybe walk along the Rhine or the pedestrian areas in Cologne around the Dome, and then have lunch at McDonald's. That was a highlight. Lunch at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big thing. Or we're going into the Wiener Wald, which was like a chicken roasting place. Anyway, fairly innocent by today's comparison, I guess. And I do remember going to my mom's office. She worked in a publishing house in the village we were in, which was interesting. But it was I go in there and it was like going into a blue fog. Everybody smoked.
Yeah, that's right.
Including me at the age of 8, because
you get that.
Because that's just you smoking. It's same, but even at home, both my parents smoked, and I remember watching TV through blue haze.
Yeah, that's right.
Later on, they both gave up, because it wasn't, they thought it was a good thing to give up, so they actually gave up.
Mm-hmm.
And my father for years, he would never stop talking about how many days it had been since he gave up smoking.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know.
I quit in 1996, Mickey. I know when.
It's 36,205 days and 13 hours and 5 minutes and 2 seconds, and I missed every second. I'm not counting. I missed. Sorry. Anyway, and TV shows for children in Germany were literally a couple hours a week, usually on the weekend. That increased as I grew older, of course, but when I was young, there was just nothing on TV, so we just played outside, winter or summer, and we had real seasons. But I expected to have a roof over my head. I expected meals, probably to be cooked by my mom, and even though it wasn't an expectation, I knew though that all the food I ate was organic, because that's the only food that you could buy. There's nothing else. So all you ate was organic food. And when I say organic, I'm talking about things that weren't GMO, right? Nothing modified.
Yeah, no GMO, and although we were at the time when they began to experiment with pesticides.
Yeah. And of course, there were processed foods. I mean, Germans love sausages. I mean, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
But we had nice bread, and the baker would deliver the bread in the morning.
Oh.
And you get a milk deliveries. I think we also had eggs delivered. I can't remember. I know that we used to buy our eggs from the farm just down the road.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I lived in a rural setting. Let's just call it that. And so it wasn't an expectation. It was just something I ate organic food when I was a child, because there was all the food there was. And my grandmother would make nice food as well. She was a great cook. Christmas, we do certain things. And there's certainly the holidays. There's a certain expectation. We see our relatives. We do an Easter egg hunt. Christmas time, I go to church with my grandmother. A whole bunch of stuff, right, that you do. And then I also had an expectation that if I go to the doctor, he'd make me better. So, because this was a village, and so everybody knew everybody, right? and so you go to the same doctor all the time, the same dentist, most of the time. You go shop in the same
had a
bakery.
family dentist, family doctor.
Oh, completely.
That's right.
And you do go there, and the expectation is that he'd make you better, and he did. It was a man, so I'm going to say he. And there was an apothecary was there as well. You know that go there and you get the right things that you wanted, and wherever you went, you had the expectation that the right thing would happen, right? And my grandparents were both living at home. They never went to old people's home, to a pensioner's home. But my grandmother's friend had gone to a pensioner's home, right? But my expectation was that there would be a place like that would be dignified enough for people to go to. So these are expectations that I had. And I also expected the government to look after the roads. Not that I didn't actually expect it now, looking back at it. I just expected the roads to be clean and serviced.
That's right.
And I expected the street lights to work. I expected no rubbish to fly around, right? Not an active expectation. It's just how I envisioned the world had to be. And now, in my old age, well, 50 is the new 20, right? It is. That's what I'm going to say anyway. I find myself yearning for those things that I now expect, but I don't always find, Dave. I don't know how you feel about those expectations, especially healthcare. But go on, please.
Yeah. I have it. I also have a joke from today, as well for healthcare. But yes, you're absolutely right. And the ability to make a booking or have the doctor come to your house, like a home visit.
Yep.
From your GP. I remember I was really, we only had one car, and sometimes my dad would take the car, and we didn't have a second car or anything. So, my mum would, if I say I was, rather ill or I had a fever or something, he'd drop by either at lunchtime or after work. His practice wasn't very far away. It's not really a surgery, because I don't think he did much surgery there, but it was just an old converted house in Top Ryde. You know Top Ryde, Becky, I know you know.
Yeah.
Right? And so, Eastwood was a place where the first McDonald's went in my local area. And Carlingford was the shops that we visited more often than not. So my grandmother lived with us, and so I had a second layer generationally that I could turn to, and I did turn to her for that, for an opinion. I didn't know I was really doing it, because these are just people in my life, right? But that maturity and worldly knowledge, I gained a whole ton of that from her. So from a health perspective, there weren't, the nut allergies and the wheat allergies and you name the allergy, there wasn't very many of those.
No,
there were a few asthmatics, that's it. Just a few. And as far as kids being overweight, there was maybe 1 in 50 who you would consider overweight. Then.
Yeah, that's true.
Today, mostly skinny, 25 kilos wringing wet as kids. Literally, no body fat on anybody. Because look, two things. One, we ate lean. I mean, we are very much smaller meals than we do today. I did an experiment, Mickey, where I got a, remember that, the shiny side out 20-ounce mug?
Yeah.
Right? It's a co-branded Freedom Slips in. Anyway, so if you get 20-ounce mug and you put your dinner in there, that's it. That's all you're allowed to have. So we were playing with the idea of trying to eat less food, because we're all eating too much food. Think about the serving size of the McDonald's meal when we were kids. There wasn't a large fries. there was only fries, and they were in that white paper sachet.
Yeah, a small surf, which is now called a small surf. That's right.
That's it. Yeah, and the sugary drink, the soda was small compared to today. The sundae size, the small sundae was the sundae size, and then they introduced the larger one. So we've grown up expecting more. In America, in California, when I was there, you have a breakfast omelette and it's 5 eggs for one person. I couldn't believe it. I was expecting a 1 or 2 egg omelette. Do you want breakfast sausages? I don't think I can fit them in, to be honest with you. That's a lot of eggs already. So, were people practicing like an eating competition where you have to drink 10 litres of water a day, building up to the competition to stretch your stomach? How was everyone? I look around in America. How was everyone eating this food? It made no sense to me. It was wow. And I'm not saying that we lived like when I was a kid. Campucheans had a famine, and I kind of felt like it's inappropriate today, but back in the day, we were eating better than a Campuchean. And it's better than anyone who was in the midst of a famine. And I've even done that, the UN food parcel for the week challenge. That was tough, coming from our plentiful, and overly sourced foods. Although I'm going to say we don't eat processed food in my house, where everything's homemade, and to that extent. After my daughter, because she had for the audience, she had a double lung transplant, and the funniest thing was asked of her today during. This is the joke, right? The doctor says, "Hang on, just let me just pull it up because it's very funny, and I want to read it word for word." And the doctor said, "This is called Eileenism number 213." And it's, the doctor says, "Do you go to school?" And Eileen says, "No." The doctor says, "Are you homeschooled?" And now she paused and didn't respond to that. I think she was still processing homeschooled. What? And I just jumped straight in. I said, "That'd be fun." And then she turned to me and goes, No, it wouldn't. Not for both of us." Now I thought that was hilarious, and that's the comedian in her doing that, where that is wow. She's like Janine Garofalo in her early days. I just love her for that. So anyway, so we went and bought some flour. There's a company called iBake, and we bought. This is the closest you can get to industrial quantities, because they sell industrial quantities, but to the domestic market that you can get. It's not far from you, Mac. You'd like it. It's all right. I sent you a copy so you can see the pricing as well. Now they look at me in a domestic car and go, "Sure, why not? Good luck with that." But you can buy a ludicrous amount. Like you could just pull up in a convertible and they'd fill it up with flour. You wouldn't get far before it was empty, but it doesn't matter. It would just blow away. And anyway, so from a health perspective, we have amazing science that can solve a whole bunch. Eliminating, solving, finalizing. It's never going to be back again in our society. Do we see it? Not much of it. It's there. We have some great tech. We really have some great tech. We have some great ideas. But what I think today came out to me was 175 years of let's call it pharmaceutical companies. And has it been 175 years of eliminating the problems or treating them?
I think
like treating the symptoms, yeah. So
well, where's the money, Dave? Where's the money?
I'm never going to fight big pharma, big food production, big food.
Can't win.
I'm never going to fight big oil, or whatever big energy, if you want to, whatever you call it. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to fight anyone. I can talk about things and ask questions, but I'm never going to fight them. I had a conversation with someone today, and they were really upset. They're looking at their power bill, going, "I didn't even think we could pay it."
Oh, I got something that's
ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on? And I said, well, I think the whole world is being reduced to the working poor, and we'll beg for UBI, right?
Yes, absolutely.
There isn't any other excuse. Apparently, Mackie, renewables, they're cheaper than not fighting big coal. But, it's cheaper than big coal. And they're being subsidised at the same time.
Yeah, that's insane, my friend.
So why are we paying nearly a quarter more? What?
Let me tell you why. There's a number of reasons. But today I discovered the biggest reason. The biggest reason by far. So yesterday we got our gas bill. I think it's quarterly or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was triple what we normally do, and triple compared to last year, triple compared to the last 2 months. Okay, that seemed odd, right? So it was significant, I can tell you. So I look at it, okay, then my wife, Jen, is home, and she checks the meter, and she reads the meter, and she sends me the pictures she took, and then she sends me the meter reading from the bill, right? And
can I have a guess?
Go on.
Rather than saying the word Pepsi, I'm going to say they weren't the same numbers.
Not the same numbers at all. In fact, not even in the same family tree. Not even. So I called, and I called today. I spent some time on the phone with, this must be in the Philippines, the call center, and I said, look, this is what it is. Okay, they said, okay, right. So I asked them, so who reads my meter? I wanted to know, right? I was getting quite stroppy, I guess. I wasn't
that's
happy.
Fair, because you've been faced with a bill that's outrageous.
Outrageous.
Yeah.
Outrageous. And I sent an email, and I thought the error was egregious. Egregious. Not just grievous. In other words, a grievous error, but an egregious error. Anyway, so after showing off my vocabulary, I said, look, who reads this? Your provider. I said, so you don't read my meter? No. So a third party reads my meter? Yes. They didn't read my meter. What do you mean? They didn't read my meter because so I sent my photo through and the thing. Clearly, they didn't read it because the number they read has no bearing on what they wrote down, if they read it. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. And I said, would you like to, then she asked me, would you like to buy some electricity? I said, I tell you what, you fix what you did here, and I don't know, but I want to know the person who read my meter. I want to know who that person is. That's what I want to know, right? I sent an email, I asked for the same thing. But I'll tell you what, you fix this, and I'm not going to buy any more product from you until you have fixed this.
That's right.
I mean, and I was thinking to myself, this is incredible. It's like I've just shown you a cockroach in my Big Mac, and you ask me if I would like a large fries.
That's right.
That's what happened here. Right?
Yeah, totally. Look, I had a very similar experience, and I asked them to come and read the meters, and they said, oh, look, this is direct with my energy provider, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, oh, it's been flagged a number of times. I said, flagged with what? Oh, the gate's closed. I don't have a gate. I don't have a gate. Oh, there was a dog.
I don't have a dog.
The dog's an indoor dog. Yeah. Oh, you couldn't get access as a fence. No. In fact, even if you'd like me to, let's go to Google Earth and let's have a look. Let's see what we can see. And I said, you go up the driveway, and there on the left-hand side, front corner, the lowest corner towards the front that you can get to, all the meters are there. You mean all of them? Yeah, except for the water that's down in the street. Oh, okay, so the power's there. Oh, it's locked. No, it's not locked, and it's completely accessible 24/7. 24/7. And our numbers were just estimates, and they just kept building on these estimates because they knew how many people lived in a house, and I don't know what numbers. Like, I think they were rolling a dice. I mean, people play D&D, right? So they've got a D20, and they, that's a multiplier, and what's your... what do you do for a living? Okay, there we go. All right, so the characters rolled, a times 50. So whatever I roll in my D20, we're going to times them together, and there you go. Gladden, right? So I couldn't, and they ended up saying, we're really sorry, it's going to mean you have a credit. Yeah, but haven't I been overpaying it? Can we adjust it? Oh, there's no way of adjusting it. There isn't one. Yeah, but...
Well, how? What?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, we can give you a credit. Well, I think I should just... You give me the credit and I'll go to someone else who's going to send the person around. And I had the same conversation. Oh, it's a third party. I don't care who it is. Yes. Can I send you a photo right now of it? We'll do a Teams meeting or something, and I'll show you the meter live.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened, I went to move to another company, and you can do it without even having to talk to your existing one, right? And I did. And for about a year, I didn't get any bills. And I rang them up, and they go, oh, we're sending the bills. So you're not, and I haven't seen a meter reader. Anyway, they eventually sent a bill, and it was estimated, but over a year. And they said, oh, we're going to cut you off. So why's that? Because you haven't paid. Paid what? The bill we haven't sent. Well, how much is it? And it's like, $8,000 or some ridiculous thing. And this is in the 20 years that I've been here. These are the kinds of things that have happened. You're not alone, pal. I'm giving you a hug right now. Right? You're in a safe space. You're with friends, and we've all experienced it.
There's actually something that you just triggered me when you talked about the meter and the not reading at all. So when we first moved into the house, we bought the house about 15 years ago where we're here, right? It's a nice neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. So we move in.
Nice. Yeah.
And we get our water bill. It seems okay. It seems to be all right. But then we get an outrageous water bill. Maybe a year in, we get an outrageous water bill.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, if I had 20 people and animals here, I wouldn't use this much water. Okay.
And even if you were filling up all your friends' swimming pools.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm Wargamma Dan. That's who I am.
You're just putting it back in the grid. That's what you're doing. Yeah, look at that.
That's what I'm doing. I'm making water. And so it's like I call up and I say, I don't think this is right. And they go, okay, oh, sorry about that. Can you just go out to your meter and just check it? I said, okay, where is it? Oh, it's usually here or there or there. So I look around the house. I've got a freestanding house, right? But so I look all around, look in the front. I see my neighbor's meter. It's just actually next to his garage. It's right there, exposed, right? I can see it.
Yeah, okay.
And I can see my other neighbor's meter, right? And I see the same kind of water. I guess this is where the water meter should be, if I had one. But it turns out the water meter was never installed.
Oh.
So I called him back and I said, I can't find the water meter. Oh, look, we'll send someone out. So they send someone out, and the guy knocks on my door and says, I can't find your water meter. Really?
You and me both, pal. That's right.
How interesting. And neither could I. He goes, oh, we'll have someone around to install it. But hang on, Annie. So how did you send me my bill? And he goes, I don't know. But apparently the meter reading was outsourced to not a third-party supplier, but just to a third party, like to people like Bob from meter reading services.
Yeah, that's right. I've talked to them now, and I've learned who they are. Yeah.
And because he couldn't find my meter,
it is made up a number.
Assume either he made it up, they said, or he went over to the next house to the next street that had a number 19. Because if you have the number 19, chances are you use the same kind of water, right?
Sure.
So, and I got, okay.
It's like, no, sorry, man, we're allergic to water. We can't touch it, so it wasn't us.
They were good enough to give me credit, but I mean, the thing is this: a lot of people would just let it go. I can't let this kind of stuff go. I can't let it go. I get really upset when someone tries to put one over me. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. So the conversation, Becky, that I had with my power company when they said, "Well, you haven't paid the bill," and I go, "Well, I thought my wife was paying it, and apparently she thought I was paying it, but neither of us have seen one." And you go, "That can't be right." And then they found out that it was stuck halfway in a transition where no one had made a tick for it to be accepted. And I said, "Well, I'm not paying the difference. It's your error. You know, it's like a monopoly board. You know, bank error in your favor. Collect $200, right?" That's what I thought. But no. They looked up the original number and then what we were at and went, "Well, you're paying that." I said, "But to whom? You never accepted the contract by ticking the box." And we got out of it.
Wow, really?
Yeah. It took a long time and it was a big fight. And once we got that done, I immediately moved to another company.
And you haven't had any services since, right?
No. We have to live off grid permanently for
using
our lives.
lightning and rainwater.
I go through a lot of kites with the key on it. It's all right.
That's cool.
So look, Mickey, you're not alone, and because look. In Australia, we have power distribution, which is now separated from power production and retail power. They're all separate, and the government decided it's genius, but I don't agree with it. I think it's awful. So poles and wires is what the distributions is, and the most ridiculous thing they ever did, it's fraudulent. I'll put it that way.
Oh.
They palmed it off to a third party because, admin and maintenance. That maintenance, oh boy. And the third party company go, "Yeah, we'll look after it. No dramas, but we have to charge a fee." What do you mean a fee? Well, you're leasing it to us. And we have to make money because the lease costs money. Oh, you don't just have money in your pockets? No. No, we have to charge for it. And then everyone's power went up. And then the government, who used to own all the power stations, decided what they were going to do is offload all the ones that needed replacing because, profit, right? Don't feed that back into a maintenance program. How silly would that? Look at all the profit we're making, and that's just going to take all the profit away. So they never did. And then they have to start shutting it down. These poor saps that bought this power with 10, 15, 20 year projections. You're going to make this much, and they go, "Oh no, actually we have to shut it down. Can't make the money. It's not profitable." Yeah, that's why we sold it to you. Hopefully you can fix it. Well, we can't. And at the same time, the government is doing a competitive power production project of installing wind and solar and whatever they can dream up in the future to compete against the power production of what was a guaranteed forward projection. It's fraud.
Yes.
Imagine if you Nicky, imagine, all right, I've got like a hamburger store and I sell it to you and you go, "Look, I show you the books, I'm transparent, here you go, we've been doing fantastic." You can't believe it. You can send all your kids to university, you can retire in 15 years. And you go, "Oh really? Oh, well, why are you getting out?" "Well, I'm retiring. I made all the money I need, I'm just going to give it to you." Cool. And the very next day after you sign, right next door is a McDonald's and then a Hungry Jack's and all these other hamburger stores going down the street, and you're the only original hamburger store and you don't make any money. But the whole thing was a plan. It was my plan with all my profit to buy up all that property and put something else in place. It's wrong.
It's ethically and morally wrong. It's legally perfectly fine. It's called competition. It's what they like to call. No, but you're right. It is. In many ways, we are encouraging.
Where's the morality?
Morality. Will someone think of the children? In many ways, we have this is look. I know this is funny. It's funny how we always get back to this one.
Mm-hmm.
But fundamentally, and at the bottom of most of our issues, lies the economic system we've adopted to live in. That's the most fundamental issue that we have as a society. This capitalist system, free market, etc., that believes in a never-ending growth and unlimited profits, etc., which is of course complete nonsense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right? It's a nonsense. It doesn't exist. But nonetheless, we still act as though it does, and in that kind of system, right? In fact, it's not just right, but it's mandatory to act like this.
Yeah.
You must do this in order to be part of the system and compete. Let me put it this way. When Michael Douglas in I think it was in what's it called? Greed. The Greed is good. There was Wall Street, the movie, the first one, Wall Street. When he goes, greed is good. Greed is right.
And
that was the mantra of the that was the mantra of the 80s, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And it seemed like it was a free fall, it was a trough, because what had happened is America had gamed the system so much that it was in the most favorable position for all kinds of economic activity in the world. Yeah. America was in the most, because it used the CIA and other assets to bend everybody else to their will. That's what essentially happened in the world back in the 70s, 80s, and then 90s. But that, of course, came upon us with a vengeance, and the whole system collapsed. In fact, a couple of times, dot-com bubble, 2008, etc. And in fact, we had a really bad, one of those bad days in the 80s as well, where people actually still got punished back in those days. But that's the fundamental issue, Dave, because if you encourage greed, and if the only thing that really matters in life is to make profit, right? Mm-hmm. Forget producing a good service. Forget producing a good product. Forget customer satisfaction. Forget all of that nonsense. In fact, that's actually no good to you, because if you make something that doesn't break and that lasts forever, how is that good for you? It's sort of full circle on the health. If someone is healthy, they're not going to come to the doctor by medication, are they? This is the same thing. Fundamentally, our fundamental issue is that we've adopted this kind of philosophical system, because it's a philosophical system, right? It's a way of thinking. Mm-hmm. It's a way of interpreting the world, and there are other ways of looking at the world. By the way, okay, the most extreme different way of looking at the world would probably be the Amazonian Bushmen, or the Mormons, or even most of the Mennonites in America, right? Which look at the world in a very different kind of way, more communal, and we all work together rather than kill each other on the way to the top. And but I see it every day, and this is, I'm part of the corporate world, right? It's every day. Sell. That's the only thing that matters is the bottom line. This is revenue, it's contract value, it's a profit, there's so many measures. There's so many different measures of how you perform. It's actually hilarious. But that's the only thing that matters. It's the only thing.
Right at this point, I think it's important. So, remember there's a tale of the American native people's Indian tribe. Yep. And everyone is working towards the same goal. And when something is killed and eaten and consumed, everybody has the right to eat the same amount. And then there's born a special person, a special hunter, a warrior who decides that they're better than everybody else and they need to eat more. That is the end of that system.
Correct.
Now, if everyone did it, you would be fighting amongst each other for the little resources that you have, starving those that the community can't afford to lose, but then would lose as a result. And don't we see that?
Oh,
we see that in everyday life.
That's where we
today.
are.
That's today. That's now.
Yeah. This is not a hypothetical.
No.
This is not a supposition. This is reality. That's life.
Oh, Mickey, but I'm a communist. That's clearly what that is.
Clearly. No, well, look, communism is a beautiful idea, but it'll never work
unless it's run by AI.
No, yeah. I was going to say because people, right? But
that's right, people.
I thought you might actually say this prophecy. I think it's a Navajo prophecy that goes, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember it exactly, so please forgive me. When the last river is poisoned, when the last fish is eaten, when the last tree is felled, when the last prairie is burned down, or whatever, and when the last bit of clean air is gone, only then will you find out that you can't eat money.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And I think you can't actually put it any better than that, because ultimately we are like we're a society that has become stuck in a monopoly game. And this is a generational monopoly game now, and some people have rigged it so that they bank all the time, right? So they're okay, and everybody else is just scrambling on the board, and the board is getting bigger, but it's also getting smaller at the same time, which is really weird. It's like an
people are printing money secretly outside of the banking system.
That's
just
right.
To stay alive.
And there's a whole bunch of there's a whole other board under the board, so it's like the underverse. So, but that's where we are. We are caught in this insane game, and it is that. And if we all just stopped and said, "Hang on, stop! Let's just look at how we live here. This is not right. We can't live like this. We don't even have to fight for our rights. We just say, no, this is not this." If we want to change, we could all of us get together and say, we're going to work 3 days a week, and you're going to pay us the same. You're not going to have horrendous profits. You're not going to have massive. You can't buy yourself another yacht. That's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
If we all said that, if all of us got together somehow, right, and got into the same mindset and said, no, stop. The way you live, the parasites, is over. It's
Could
finished.
you imagine, Mickey? Could you imagine if from the top of a business to the bottom, there was only 10% legally allowed to be a differential in wages?
Right. You know what you would see? You would see actual leaders emerge that would want to work in the company and run it well. Not just for the money, but because they want to produce something worthwhile, like whatever, good or service or whatever. Because they have that passion. That's what you would see, rather than just the people that are driven by the money. And the truth is, most companies these days, Dave, it doesn't matter what they do. I mean, my company, for example, we could be selling marshmallows. It would make no difference. We wouldn't treat it any different. Like other companies, that's true. In most companies, like larger companies, it doesn't actually matter what they do.
Yeah.
They would treat it exactly the same way. So if you make marshmallows, or you provide services, or you service the military, or whatever, it's completely irrelevant, because it's a business model you have to follow, and there's certain numbers that you have to work toward, and those numbers are profit, right, revenue, or turnover, and whatever else your measures might be. There are other measures as well. There are many different measures. But the point is, you run it from that point of view, from a finance point of view. That's what you do. That's what most companies do. They don't think about, how can I make a better whatever? How can I make this? How can I make that? Only once in a while, someone comes along. Like, I think Steve Jobs, he wanted to innovate. He wanted to do something. He wanted to make something really cool, something good. I really believe that. I think he did want to do that. And I think BlackBerry wanted to do that as well. That's why they were so rigid and they couldn't change.
See, BlackBerry is a software company.
Well, now they are.
So but then they connected to your Exchange server.
Oh, yes, correct.
Like no one had ever done before.
Yeah, correct. And I think that there are companies that want to make a good product. And usually, when you buy a good product, you pay through the nose.
Yeah.
Why? Because they know you're not coming back. Okay? You're not coming back for many, many years to buy another one. Right? So if you buy a chair that is really good, and it might cost you,
Mickey.
Yeah, it might cost you $5,000-$10,000, right? Conceivably. or you buy a really good watch, which will cost you upwards of, well, there's actually no limit, to be honest. Or you buy a really well-made suit, or really well-made shoes.
Let's make it simple. You buy a broom.
Yes.
Simply buying a broom that doesn't have any plastic parts.
Yes.
Think about that.
I've seen that broom online, because I was funny. Years ago, I was looking for the best broom I could buy.
Mm-hmm.
So the best broom I could buy had a wooden handle.
That's right.
It had copper wiring to put. I think the bristles were. I can't remember what the bristles were, but this was a broom that looked like a witch's broom in many ways, or like a Harry Potter broom.
Yep.
But it was expensive. But they guaranteed you for life. They said this broom will last you and your children. This is the broom to never buy another broom.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right, Dave. You're right. Correct.
And now it won't last the amount of time you wish it to last for. It'll rust. There's no UV protectant in any of the plastic in it. UV protectant. Listen to me knowing science. So it won't last. And I remember going through my dad's tool set back in the day. And he had, instead of electric drills, they were hand drills, the ones for woodworking and stuff. And
I had those. They're like the little...
And they still work. They still work.
And they will always work because they don't need any power.
That's right.
It's a very simple mechanism. Like the one I had was shaped, I guess, like an S.
Yeah, that's right.
With a knob on top.
Yep.
And you can either hold it with both hands, or you hold it with one hand and hold the knob on top, and then that's how you drill. That's your drill. There you go. I loved it. And there was another one which was a bit more advanced, where you moved the knob up and down the shaft, and it would drill in that fashion.
Oh yes, I've seen one of those. And the other one was it was a rotary. You held the handle on top, and it was a rotary thing like a beater, a hand beater, but it was a drill.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you got the hand beater as well. Yeah.
Every tool that we have today, every power tool, has a precursor as a hand tool. Believe it or not.
Yeah, that's right.
And I always get upset. I shouldn't, but I do get upset a little bit, not massively, a little bit, when I see people use leaf blowers. Get a broom.
Yeah, and a
Just
rake.
get a broom,
and a rake,
please. And a rake, yes.
Gotta love a rake.
Just do that.
Yeah.
Just do that, please. Leaf blower, and usually they're quite large. These men or women.
Petrol driven.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you get the stink and the noise, which is a bonus. That's what you want.
And where are you blowing these leaves, Mackie? Onto the road.
To my properties.
Onto your property, yeah.
But
nerve, people.
Yeah, and you see, I refuse to use electric edgers, so I use essentially it's a stick. It's a pole with a sharp wheel,
a star-shaped blade, and one stationary, one moves. Yeah,
100%. And I bought the one that is guaranteed for life, which costs $10 more. But Bunnings said, if you break it, bring it back. We give you a new one. I said that's a good deal. So, yeah. It costs a bit more, not much, but yeah. So, but the thing is, my point is, we should do more by hand, Dave. We should do more ourselves. We shouldn't outsource this. We shouldn't use power tools to do it. We should do it the old way. So we
Imagine
remember
if we built buildings like in Japan with no nails.
Yeah, I know, right? That's amazing, by the way. I mean, just having the skill to, like, woodwork, especially, right?
Yeah.
To just. I mean, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I've got two chairs that I found they were about to be thrown out, that I restored. I didn't restore. I had them restored, and there's not a single nail in those chairs. They're wooden chairs, and I'm so happy that I have them. Not a single nail. It's all wood. All, like, I don't know how they did it, but it's all. And someone's gonna throw it out, and now they look like $1 million. I tell you, upholstered and polished and whatever, right?
God.
But yeah. I found them in the trash.
And then they're not MDF or particle board.
No, wood, timber.
Actual timber, yeah. And for all those people that hate it, that's carbon capture right there.
That's what that is, my friend. I'm solidifying the carbon. You're right. The time is almost up. Thank you so much for listening to Platos Cave. We'll be with you again on Sunday. It's a new topic coming up this week. It's going to be interesting, I'm sure, once I figure out what it is. But please don't go anywhere. Something else is going to come up, I'm sure. Right, so don't go. Don't touch that dial. But Dave, most of all,
be safe.